this is what's the real big news. And this is wacky. Okay? New York Times article. Agents tried to flip Russian oligarchs in the fallout spread to Trump. Now, this is the weirdest article ever because they're trying to, again, associate Donald Trump with Russian oligarchs. That's not what this does. This shows that these Russian oligarchs actually worked with Mueller and the FBI years and years and years ago. Let me repeat that. That's what's in this article. That the guy you're looking at was actually commissioned by the FBI. He's a billionaire. To spend $25 million of his own money to rescue a U.S. operative. Supposedly that fell through, but it showed that they had been working with each other for decades. So this guy, who's a Russian oligarch, who'd been working with the FBI for decades, they try to get him to flip on Trump, but he doesn't have any information because it's not true. Do you not understand what you're reporting, New York Times? And Zero Hedge has just a great breakdown on this. We're going to read it. Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska, a close associate of Vladimir Putin, has gone on the record with The Hill, John Solomon, admitting to colluding with Americans leading up to the 2016 U.S. election. Except it might not be what you're thinking. Deripaska, rumored to be Donald Trump's back channel to Poot Poot. He's the back channel, guys. This is it. Via the Russians' former association with Paul Manafort, says he colluded with the U.S. government between 2009 and 2016. There it is, 7 years. In 2009, when Robert Mueller was running the FBI, the agency asked Deripaska to spend $25 million of his own money to bankroll an FBI-supervised operation to rescue a retired FBI agent, Robert Levinson, who was kidnapped in 2007 while working on a 2007 CIA contract in Iran. This in itself is more than a bit strange. There's so much deep state activity going on in that 2 paragraphs. We really need to break this down. So number 1, a Russian oligarch that was working with U.S. intelligence confirmed from 2009 to 16, 7+ years. That's just what's confirmed. All right. Is running an operation in 2009 while Robert Mueller, Mr. Deep State, is running the FBI. And the operation is to get back Robert Levinson, an ex-FBI agent, who in turn later works for the CIA. The CIA, folks. Okay, so now that just shows cross-platforming within these agencies. And that's how it works when you're a good little deep stater. Parapolitics. Check out Peter Dale Scott. That's how the intelligence community works. You work for all these different networks. Okay? So, here we go. He's going to use the money to help out Mueller. I guess the operation goes sour, but this is a CIA contract for what? More warmongering in Iran. What do you think? They weren't sowing civil discourse. They weren't spying on Iran. What do you think? Their motives were good? They were good? Think that's why Levinson got captured? He's on a CIA contract to spy on Iran. He gets caught, and they're using the Russians, who are supposed to be our enemies. Remember, they're our enemies. They're selling us this whole new Cold War idea. They're the enemy. But wait a minute, they're not the enemy. This guy is helping them, the establishment, the entire time. Deripaska agreed, however, the Obama State Department, headed by Hillary Clinton, scuttled the last-minute deal with Iran before Levinson could be released. He has not been heard from since. So apparently they didn't get him out. FBI agents courted Deripaska in 2009 in a series of secret hotel meetings in Paris, Vienna, Budapest, Hungary, and Washington. Agents persuaded the aluminum industry magnate to underwrite the mission. The Russian billionaire insisted the operation neither involve nor harm his homeland. So again, now we're going to get into the Robert Steele connection. As the New York Times frames it, distancing Deripaska from the FBI, no mention of the $25 million rescue effort, for example, the Russian aluminum magnate was just one of several Putin-linked oligarchs the FBI tried to flip. The attempt to flip Mr. Deripaska was part of a broader clandestine American effort to gauge the possibility of gaining cooperation from roughly half a dozen of Russia's richest men. Central to the recruitment effort were two central players in the Trump-Russia investigation, twice demoted DOJ number 4 official Bruce Orr and Christopher Steele. Let's repeat this one. So two of the people embedded in the PP dossier, in the document that essentially got the warrants for the illegal wiretapping and this whole nonsensical investigation, Orr and Christopher Steele, were that balls deep in Russian politics trying to flip influential members there. Huh. Nothing fishy there. Nothing fishy there. Oh, boy. So, I just want to move on. But, to get into the Trump derangement system and how it really has divided a lot of us, everybody remembers, it's got to be a month or two ago, probably 2 months ago, when this guy right here, he didn't want to make America great again. And that's fine. You don't have to love Trump. I don't love Trump. I'm not sitting here talking about all the great things he's done. I'm just talking about how ridiculous the Russian accusations are. Well, this guy who decided to take a teenage kid's hat and throw a drink in his face got arrested and indicted. And you know what? I know there's a lot of those anarchists out there that or, just anti-police on every level. And believe me, I think police corruption and police brutality are one of the top issues that are being ignored. Okay? Ignored in this country and globally. And I think it's a real problem. We inch closer and closer to a police state every day. We arm these people now with drones, military equipment. Policing is not the same that it was 30 or 40 years ago. But again, we need them because there are some bad people out there. People do need to be arrested. Law enforcement does help the good guys out there. My town, where I live, I was walking, I think Friday night. Sounds like Friday night. Met up with an old friend I hadn't seen in probably like 7 or 8 years, another buddy of mine. Went down to the local redneck bar, the Wagon Wheel. Had myself some midnight wings. Feeling pretty good. A lot of college kids in town, a lot of streets. Ugh. I got a fraternity house next to me now. They just moved in. It's a nightmare. I have two small children in the house. Had to talk to one of those guys. Awful stuff. Glad there's law enforcement. But I walk out, and a full-on glass window is just smashed. And not smashed well. Like, there are big shards that could obviously hurt people. There's tons of people out there with alcohol. And I get it. Anarchy, everybody takes care of everybody else. And the owner of the building will take care of it, or somebody else, or Good Samaritans. But no, it was the police that came over and fenced everything off and made sure that nobody got hurt. So thank you to the good law enforcement officers out there, the good people out there, the Good Samaritans, the people that wouldn't smash a window. So moving on to some of the things that we need to improve upon on Trump. I kind of highlighted a little bit of this yesterday. But the U.S. now has confirmed it is to end funding for UN Palestinian refugees. And I think that this is a very, very bad thing. And a lot of people attacked me and said, well, Jason, aren't you against the United Nations? Absolutely against the United Nations. I don't like that we're having to do this through the UN. But at the same time, any aid to Palestinians and refugees is absolutely necessary because of our lockstep with Israeli policy. And this administration, above really all others, has given Israel everything they have wanted. Everything they have wanted. Syria, That's the real deal. They're sticking in Syria, and we're going to show you an article where a top-level official, in fact, is that right here? Let's just go to that really quickly. Here it is right here. U.S. strategy in Syria. This one's at an activist post. I think it's also on anti-war. Create quagmires until we get what we want. That's not... and by the way, thank you for the super chat. Let's see what that says right there. Do you know why, Dayway? Stand with Palestine. Don't believe the hype. Have a great Labor Day weekend. Well, you certainly have to stand with Palestine when their freedom is being encroached upon. They live in a basic prison. They are walled up. They try to protest on the Gaza Strip. And as I said, you know, we're ending their aid, but Gaza protesters, forget about them. The medical workers that are aiding the protesters are the ones in great danger. Okay? That's real. Think about that. These are people that aren't even protesting. They're just there to try to help people that get pepper sprayed from these little drone bombs where they hit them with like a gas. It's craziness. Craziness. And that's if they don't get sniped out. That's a very real thing. We saw that as Jerusalem became the capital and 50 plus Palestinians were slaughtered on the border. Nobody in Israel was hurt. Nobody was lobbing, makeshift bombs or Molotov cocktails. That wasn't going on. Wasn't going on. Each Friday, volunteer medic Asuma Kadi goes through a tense ritual. She prays, kisses her mother's hand, and packs a bag with medical supplies as she heads to work at the weekly mass protests along Gaza's borders fence with Israel. Treating the wounded has become dangerous for Gaza's emergency workers. In the past 5 months, 3 medics were killed by Israeli army fire, with dozens more, including Kadi, hurt by live fire or tear gas canisters. So let's just put this into perspective. A female medic whose land is being occupied by a large military force and ethno-state has to worry about getting shot and killed because she has the heart to take care of protesters who are shot at, injured, hurt. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So again, we're lockstep with Israel. We're staying in Syria. We're going to create the quagmires. That's why ISIS isn't fully defeated. We're not out of Afghanistan. We're not leaving Iraq. Iran is very much on the table. And remember, I said how pro-Israeli the Trump administration is? Well, I think that that's very contradictory for the people out there that think that Israel has some kind of a magical power and control everything. Nobody is saying that AIPAC is not a force, that there's not Israeli influence in the United States. But if this were the case, if they were the end-all be-all, do you think they would be allowing Trump, for instance, to be impeached? He's giving the foreign policy-wise, you couldn't get any better. Everything. Everything. So, I mean, are they hoping he gets impeached so they get, a bigger actual Christian Zionist in Pence? Because Pence may be the real deal religiously. I have not seen a lot of dirt on that man. He may really think that we need to bring back the Messiah, that the Dome of the Rock needs to be taken out, and Solomon's Temple needs to be rebuilt. And he may believe all of that stuff. Okay? I don't know. It's hard to tell what these people actually believe because they're so two-faced. They're so prepared to speak. They're so comfortable in front of a camera, in front of large crowds. Very, very hard to put my finger on the pulse of somebody's soul.